Just when you're starting to feel down about the former kid line, Capo Caco, Alexi Lafreniere, and Filip Chytil have a game like this.
You're Locked on the New York Rangers, your daily podcast on the New York Rangers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, Blue Shirts fans, to episode number 924 of the Locked On New York Rangers podcast. I'm your host, John Chick. Just want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. And today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. And as I mentioned just a second ago there, it's funny with what we can call now the former kid line. Obviously, Capo Caco, Filip Chytil, Alexi Lafreniere, they're split up now, and all three of them are in the top six. And, you know, obviously mixed results so far this season. But anytime it begins to feel like one or two or all three of these guys are really going to like break out and really have like a really big time hot streak and get to that next level that we're hoping that they get to, that's when it seems like they struggle. And then anytime you start to get down on them a little bit, and, you know, it's only 4 games into the season, but, you know, Kako's got 1 assist. Lafreniere's got 1 goal. I don't know Chytil off the top of my head, but, you know, some quiet games for them. That's when they seem to do well. And they obviously had a great game this last night against the Seattle Kraken. You've got Caco, Lafreniere each scoring a goal. You've got Filip Chytil dishing out 3 assists. Chytil was shooting the puck from all over the rink. That's why it's actually kind of ironic that he ends up with 3 helpers in this game, because Filip Chytil had 5 shots on goal, which tied for Artemi Panarin for most in the game by any skater on either team. So overall, just a great night for all 3 of these, you know, what I'm calling the former kid line. You never know. We might see a reunion of this trio at some point this season. But at least as of right now, like I said, they are split up and they are on different lines. Obviously, Chytil and Lafreniere are still together with Panarin. But what I kind of just take you guys through the night that these 3 had, you know, again, I thought they were fantastic. And obviously, we're going to highlight some of the goals that were scored, but it went beyond the goals. All 3 of these guys were very noticeable. Just about every time they were on the ice, that Panarin, Chytil, and Lafreniere line looks like it should be here to stay for a while. You could really say that about just about all the Ranger lines. I think there's some good chemistry developing there. As far as some of the next-gen stats, some of them are very favorable in favor of the Rangers' top 9. So, yeah, you know, I think right now everything is going well. Easy to say that after a 4-1 win on the road, but nevertheless, you know, everything just kind of clicked last night. And again, these 3 young forwards for the Rangers, if they need to get to that next level, they all played very well. So we'll take it from the top here. The first period, really nice play by Mika Zibanejad to prevent the Kraken from clearing the puck. The Kraken were trying to skate the puck out of their own zone. Mika comes up very aggressively, steals the puck away, passes in deep to Caco. Caco couldn't convert from the doorstep, but a very aggressive play. And it's something that we've talked about. It's something I believe the Rangers are being coached to do under Peter Laviolette is don't make zone exits easy for your opponent. We've seen numerous instances, and I've been highlighting them throughout these first few episodes, these first few games of the season here. A lot of Ranger players, whether it's forwards or even sometimes we've seen some defensemen do it. It seems like the puck is going to pretty easily come out of their opponent's zone, but then they step up, they get in their face, they do something to force a turnover, an errant pass, you know, something along those lines, and get the puck back in deep. And in this case, almost resulted in a goal for Capo Caco. So that was awesome to see. Then you've got the Panarin line. They had a really good shift after the Kraken took a 1-0 lead. Panarin and Chytil, especially, were buzzing in the offensive zone. Seattle eventually took an icing. And then the next time that this line got onto the ice, we had a goal by Artemi Panarin. I'm going to talk about that in greater detail a little bit later in today's episode. We're going to focus in on Panarin and the fact that he's shooting the puck quite a bit more and having great results. Got some stats to back that up as well. But to continue moving on and keep the focus on some of the younger players and the Rangers here, you've got a shift where you've got Filip Chytil with a slap shot in deep. It was blocked. Chytil on the same shift. He was denied on a really nice pad save by Grubauer. Lafreniere was all over Dumoulin on the forecheck. This line again, Panarin, Chytil, Lafreniere, awake, alert, activated, just very, very noticeable every time they were on the ice. And I love what I'm seeing. It's been a really fun trio to start the season here. Very entertaining line, very exciting line, and a line that is producing results more often than not. You also had Capo Caco. He went to work. You know, nothing, again, that's like highlight reel worthy or top 10 plays of the night or anything like that. But near the end of the first period, you've got Kakko in hard on the forecheck, and he's battling to, fight for the puck. It ends up coming away with the Rangers, and Kreider tries to make a centering pass. It was intercepted and cleared, but for a while there, at least Kakko's hard work keeping an offensive zone possession alive. Then to move into the second period, you've got Lafreniere drawing a penalty for a hook against Yanni Gourde. This was just the beginning of what was a pretty bad night for Gourde. Things didn't really go so well for him in this game, and you guys know what I'm talking about. We'll get to that in greater detail in a little bit as well. But Lafreniere draws a penalty, and then while on the power play, second unit eventually gets out there, and you got Filip Chytil just blistering a shot at the net. Philip Grubauer denied it, but as I was mentioning a second ago, it was bombs away for Filip Chytil on this night. You know he's going to be getting some great passes while he's out there with Artemi Panarin, and he was taking advantage. It's a minor miracle that Filip Chytil did not end up scoring in this game. I mentioned the 5 shots on goal. He also put one off the post fairly late in this game, so yeah, I mean, a couple of really nice saves by Grubauer, a couple of instances maybe of some bad luck, whatever it might be. But Filip Chytil clearly not afraid to shoot the puck, and that was on display pretty much from the second that the puck dropped in this game. You've also got in the second period, this is right after there was the issue with the lights. We'll talk about that a little bit later in today's episode too. But what they were doing to kind of offset the issue with the lights, because it was darker on one side of the rink than it was on the other, is halfway through every period, they would have the two teams switch sides. So nobody really has a clear advantage or disadvantage there. But right after they switch sides, and they actually, the Kraken moved to the side of the rink where the lights were brighter. So you would think it would help the goalie. But regardless, Mika Zibanejad wins a faceoff, back to K'Andre Miller, over to Jacob Trouba for a one-timer. He shoots, the save is made, falls in behind Grubauer, and a great job by Kaapo Kakko using his strength, using his power to get there to the crease. Puck's only a few inches away from the goal line, but Kakko made sure it went over, and he scores his first goal of the season. 2-1 Rangers. They were on top for good at that point. And a big congratulations to Kaapo Kakko, who got his 100th point of his NHL career on this play. We move ahead to the third period. More of the same. These young players obviously stepping up big for the Rangers. Panarin made it 4-1. Again, we're going to talk about the Panarin goals and some other aspects of Panarin's game a little bit later in this episode, but then a little bit later in the period, it's 4-1. You also have Alexis Lafreniere. This is the goal that made it 3-1. He steals the puck behind the Seattle Kraken net. You had Will Cooley in there applying pressure as well. You had a trio on the ice of Lafreniere, Chytil, and Cooley. So this must have been during a partial line change. And I do think Lafreniere and Chytil are definitely going to benefit from playing with Panarin, but no Panarin on this play. They made it happen. And like I said, Will Cooley was in there as well. But this is a brilliant goal. So again, Lafreniere and Cooley applying pressure behind the net. Lafreniere ends up stealing the puck. He looks like he's going to circle around behind the net, try to come out the other side, maybe make a pass once he gets clear of the net. Instead, he stops. He passes back into the right circle to Filip Chytil. Chytil ends up making a really nifty move, faked the defender out of his skates there, makes a backhand pass to Alexis Lafreniere in front of the net, and Lafreniere stuffs it home, 3-1 Rangers at that point. And yeah, like I said, we're going to talk about the Panarin goals a little bit later. I omitted them here, even though I could have included them here, but we want to highlight Panarin all on his own a little bit later. But let's go through this, why don't we, for the 100th time in the history of this show, when the Rangers really become dangerous, when they really become bona fide contenders, when they really make you start to believe, like, wow, man, this team, they're big time. They really could compete for a Stanley Cup. A big part of that is going to be when Chytil, Lafreniere, and Kakko all get to that next level, when they all start looking like bona fide first-round draft picks. And there's times where they have. They've all shown flashes here and there. I think all three have gotten better and better as the years have progressed here. But when they become big-time players and you add them to, the star players the Rangers already have, the world-class goalie that they already have, the really good group of defensemen that they have, yeah, this Ranger team becomes scary, it becomes dangerous, and it becomes a team that I don't think anybody really wants to play come playoff time. So we'll keep our eye on that. Hopefully, again, now we're expecting big things out of the kid line or the former kid line. So hopefully that means that they're not all very, very quiet in the next game. We'll keep our fingers crossed that they keep the good times rolling here in the next one. I'm going to keep everything rolling. I want to talk about Jonathan Quick and what turned out to be the first start of his New York Ranger career. He was very good, got some good defense for sure, but played well, made the saves when he needed to. We're going to get to that, whole bunch of other good stuff in just a second. But first, got to let everybody know, today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by Sleeper. Mika Zibanejad scores a hat trick. The New York Rangers win the Stanley Cup. And if you want to win 100 times your money, play daily fantasy hockey on the Sleeper app. These are all possible scenarios for this season, but to have a chance at winning big, you need to play daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. As the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network, Sleeper is our top choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey. With Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests with studs like Panarin and Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider and Igor Shesterkin. All you need to do is pick more or less on stats for these stars. Choose stats like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and much more. You heard me, Reindeer fans, 100 times the payouts on Sleeper, so start paying attention and get your picks right so that you could win big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you will get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's Locked On NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. All right, so we're going to go ahead, keep everything rolling here on this very special live edition of Locked On New York Rangers right in the middle of a Sunday afternoon. There are no other important sports going on right now, are there? I feel like it's just hockey today, right? So anyway, thanks you to the everydayers. You guys are awesome. You show up every day supporting the show, and you're definitely going to stick around throughout this upcoming week. Rangers are going to continue their road trip, 5-game road trip. Obviously, we're going to be recapping everything that happens in those games, and I'm looking forward to our next episode, which is very likely going to be a crossover with Locked On Calgary Flames. I don't believe we've ever done a crossover with Locked On Flames, but the Rangers and Flames played some pretty crazy games against each other last year. Could be more of the same this year, so very much looking forward to breaking that down with Locked On Calgary Flames. But for right now, let's go ahead and keep enjoying kind of the afterglow of this really nice road win for the Rangers against a tough Seattle team. I know their record isn't great, but I think they'll eventually get it together. They were a very good team last year. But we got to talk about Jonathan Quick and the fact that he went out there and basically shut down Seattle pretty much every single night. I have a question for you guys. Do you really think that one of the greatest goalies of all time, who is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion and who is being coached, helped along by the absolute best goalie coach in the history of the universe, do you really think somebody like that is a lost cause? I saw a lot of Ranger fans kind of panicking and maybe not even wanting Jonathan Quick in the first place when they signed him this offseason. But the bottom line, he's in a new role. It's going to be different. I still think Jonathan Quick as the backup goalie can work out for the Rangers. I said the same thing about Yaroslav Halak last year. Obviously, the Rangers are in a position where they've only got so much cap space available. So backup goalie is an area where they can't spend big. And at least until Dylan Garand is ready to go in the NHL, you're probably going to see the Rangers do this, where they're going with a veteran backup for Igor Shesterkin every single season. Now, Jonathan Quick was very good in this game. Does that mean that he's going to have an awesome season with the Rangers? No. If he gets lit up in his next game, does that mean he's going to have a bad season with the Rangers? No. But my biggest point, though, same thing I said with Halak last year's, let's just let this play out a little bit. Let's just see how it goes. Let's give the man a chance. I think 3-time Stanley Cup champion, he's certainly earned that. And good first impression here by Jonathan Quick. I suppose his first impression, I mean, I guess technically you could go all the way back to the preseason, but we're not going to count the preseason. He got in relief of Igor Shesterkin in the 4-1 loss to the Predators, stopped all 9 shots there, and then came out, played very, very well in this game additionally. And again, the Rangers defended very well in front of him, so that obviously helped a little bit. But Jonathan Quick made some really nice saves in this game, came away with 18 out of 19 when it was all said and done. But to kind of highlight some of his better saves in this game, and the kind of saves that make you feel good about the Rangers' backup goalie situation and make you think that, okay, he can hold his own when he's in there. Might not be prime Jonathan Quick. Clearly, it's not prime Jonathan Quick, but somebody that's going to go out there and give you a chance pretty much every single time that he starts. First period. This is the first time that Quick was really tested in this game. And at this point, it's 1-1 at this point, I want to say. Let me just check the box score because I want to know for sure. It's either 1-1 or 2-1. Yeah, still 1-1. Near the end of the first period, we're coming down to about 20 or maybe 15 seconds to go, somewhere in that vicinity. You got Burakovsky up the right side, absolutely rips a shot. Quick turns it aside. The rebound attempt by the Kraken went wide. And then they get a one-timer right at the buzzer. And I think that had Quick not stopped this, he squared it up pretty good, caught it in his chest, and did not allow a rebound. But I think there was enough time there that if it had gotten by him, it would have counted. And that would have been rough because the Rangers had really found their game at that point. They had tied the score at 1-1 and, feeling pretty good going into the second period. I think the second period was probably the best period of the night for the Rangers, but who knows if either of these shots here gets past Jonathan Quick, Kraken back on top, maybe they're feeling good. Maybe they come out flying in the second period. You never know for sure. So that was a huge sequence by Jonathan Quick. And like I said, the first time that he'd really been tested in the game. Second period, this is like the first minute of the period. Kind of a weird deflection, and Quick did a nice job fighting that one off as well. He's fighting through a screen a little bit. Then also in the second period, Bjorkstrand is open in the right circle, the top of the right circle to be exact. He moves to the net, tries to go top shelf, full extension by Quick. Fantastic glove save there. Then we also had a situation where the Kraken had a power play. They had a 5-on-3 for 18 seconds, and the Rangers killed off all of that. Good penalty killing by the Rangers. Quick made a couple of saves during that instance as well. And then in the third period, I mean, nothing too crazy. Well, actually, yeah, there was one that was pretty crazy. He makes a sliding save against Jaden Schwartz in the third period. He was kind of toward the right side of his crease. Nice pass. Schwartz is open on the other side, and Quick moves quickly to his left, reaches up, basically like sliding on his stomach and reaching up with his glove to snag it, hold it, and get the play stoppage. Rangers were up 4-1 at that point, but you don't want to give the Kraken any reasons for optimism, any reasons to think they're going to get back in the game. And Jonathan Quick, in one of the few instances in this game where the Rangers basically left somebody wide open, there was Jonathan Quick to bail them out a little bit and make a really nice save. And I think Ranger fans who were doubting this move, who felt that Jonathan Quick was over the hill, you got to be feeling at least a little better after that game last night. Like I said, it was just one game, but you combine that with the fact that he made 9 saves on 9 shots in the other game, the game against the Predators, the one where he came in relief. I think everybody, if you were all stressed out about the backup goalie situation, hopefully a little bit of weight is off your shoulders for that, because this is a very encouraging performance by Jonathan Quick. Something else that I got to mention here, the lights going out. I wanted to talk about this in general. This happened just a minute and 9 seconds into the game. All of a sudden, the lights on one side of the arena, that being the goal that the Rangers are defending, the lights go out. Pretty long delay here, trying to get them back on. And they even tried the old, anytime something doesn't work, just turn it off and turn it back on, right? They basically did that inside the Kraken's arena there. It didn't work. I don't think those lights ever came back throughout the entire night. And like I mentioned before, to kind of balance everything out, they were having the teams switch sides of the rink during, once you got halfway through every single period. But, think about the goalies in a situation like that, and Jonathan Quick in particular. Look, there's a delay. Things happen. It's not the end of the world. But all these guys, they're creatures of habit. And once a game starts, I mean, it's go, 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 right? It's go, go, go for 20 minutes until you get the intermission. But this happened just a minute and 9 seconds into the game. Jonathan Quick, you got to figure he's excited about this. He grew up a Ranger fan, getting toward the end of his career here, wants to make a good impression in his first career start. And all of a sudden, a minute and 9 seconds into the game, he's got to stand around there for, what was it, like 10 or 15 minutes? Now, again, everybody has to deal with this. All the skaters have to deal with this too. Philip Grubauer's got to deal with it on the other side of the rink. But I think it's just adds another layer here, makes it a little bit more impressive. The fact that Jonathan Quick was clearly unfazed by this and ends up, having a whale of a game for the New York Rangers. So props to him for doing that. The only goal that Jonathan Quick gave up was at 8:41 of the first period, and it was indeed on the side of the rink where, the lights were pretty, not out. It's not like it was pitch black over there, but it was clearly a little darker on that side of the rink than it was on the other side of the rink. So the Kraken scored, and who knows, man, if the lights don't go out or some of the lights don't go out, maybe we're talking about Jonathan Quick getting a shutout in his first start as a New York Ranger. It's at least possible. I'm not going to say that definitely would have been the case, but a possibility that I think would have at least been on the table at that point. And while we're talking about Jonathan Quick and the lack of goals scored by the Seattle Kraken, I think we also really got to give some props to the Ranger defense. And they were really good in this game. Just great defense in general. K'Andre Miller, Jacob Trouba were outstanding. Miller made a play, and we're going to get to this in a second. Like I said, the Panarin goals, we're going to talk about Panarin. But he pretty much made the thing happen, carrying the puck straight up the center of the ice, making a couple really impressive moves. And Jacob Trouba is off to a really, really good start this season. If you guys remember, last year around this time, maybe not quite yet, but around this time, maybe like a week or two after this, I was basically shaking my head here and trying to figure out what in the world is going on with Jacob Trouba and K'Andre Miller. They got off to a really, really rough start last season, and we kind of knew at the time and found out in retrospect that, Jacob Trouba was dealing with some minor injuries, and I get the feeling that he probably was just trying to play through everything, and They clearly hampered him a little bit. And if one defenseman is compromised, it can, have an ill effect on the other defenseman as well. So maybe that's what we saw last season. But these two are really off to a good start. Trouba's hitting everything that moves. He's in the middle of everything. Just seems like these two are defending very, very well. And I don't say this lightly. I could honestly, I feel like you could make the case that of all the Ranger defensemen, maybe Jacob Trouba is off to a better start than any of them. I don't say that lightly. When you share the ice with Adam Fox, who's been very good this season, Ryan Lindgren's doing his thing. Miller's great, but Raiders really have some good defensemen. And I think right now, Jacob Trouba, as far as consistency night to night, yeah, he's up there as far as, Rangers off to a good start. It's not like he's stuffing the score sheet every night, but in terms of just consistent effort and just consistent strong play, yeah, Jacob Trouba is pretty high on the list right now. So, yeah, good stuff all around. And let me just say to the Ranger players, the next time Igor Shesterkin is in net, just pretend it's the backup goalie because they defended so well in this game. And I do think we've seen examples of that over the years. You can even go back to when Henrik Lundqvist was here, where the Rangers, and they're probably not the only team in the NHL that has ever done this, but there does seem to be this feeling of like, well, our goalie's awesome. He's the man. He's just going to stop everything anyway. And in this game, obviously, you get the backup, and the Rangers tighten everything up defensively. So the next time Igor is on the ice, which in all likelihood will be the next game, let's go ahead and just pretend that the backup's out there. Just defend as if there's a goalie. Pretend I'm in goal. Just pretend one of us is in goal, and you just got to stop any and all scoring opportunities that you possibly can. Make sure you have structure and all that good stuff. I think that's a good way for the Rangers to go moving forward here. Going to give you everything rolling in just a second here. I want to focus in on Artemi Panarin and what has been a fantastic start to the season for him after a really rough playoff showing last year. We'll get to all that good stuff in just a second. Couple other things as well, including the fight. But first, gotta let everybody know, today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts from your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's keep everything rolling here before we call it a day. Definitely want to point the spotlight at Artemi Panarin. I think he's been absolutely fantastic to start the season so far. And honestly, just a couple of games into the season, and I wasn't the only one saying this, but it felt like to me that Artemi Panarin is shooting the puck more often this season. He's always going to probably be a pass-first guy because that's just the kind of guy he is. First of all, he's a tremendous passer. You'd never want him to not take advantage of that attribute. Secondly, I have next to no doubt whatsoever that Artemi Panarin has a lot more fun watching his teammates score than scoring himself. And he wants to be selfless and he wants to set them up. And that's all well and good and everything. But Artemi Panarin, I just mentioned his passing. He has way, way too good of a shot to not take advantage of it. I think a little bit more often than maybe he has in the past. And to kind of, share some stats here about what I'm getting at, let's compare first 5 games of Artemi Panarin this season to the first 5 games of Artemi Panarin last season. Now, let me get this out of the way first. It is true he has the same amount of goals this year as he did last year. 3 goals both times. 3 goals this year, 3 goals last year through the first 5 games. However, he is shooting the puck far more frequently this year. This year through 5 games, 21 shots on goal for the Breadman. He has never had fewer than 3 shots on goal in any of the 5 games that the Rangers have played. Last year at this time, through 5 games for Artemi Panarin, a grand total of just 11 shots on goal. 21 this year, 11 last year. And that stretch last year, that 5-game stretch to start the season, that included 3 games where Panarin had exactly 1 shot on goal. Three of the games, exactly 1 shot on goal for Panarin. And again, he just has way too good of a shot for him to, have games where he's not shooting the puck on net at all or doing it very infrequently. And I realize, sometimes it's game flow and sometimes the shot just isn't there and you don't want to force it. I get that to an extent. But, a night where Artemi Panarin only puts 1 shot on goal, that needs to be the rarity rather than bordering on the norm. And I think we're going to see that pretty much become the case this season. It's not just the number of shots, it's where he's shooting from. He's shooting from different areas of the rink where I feel like for sure, if this was last year or really any year that he's been on the Rangers, he would have looked to have passed in that exact same situation. It's funny, a little bit earlier today, I did a guest spot on Locked On NHL with Gil Martin, the host of Locked On Islanders. He was nice enough to invite me on. And I mentioned something there that I'm going to talk about now. Artemi Panarin, Game 7 against the Penguins in overtime. Obviously, we know what happens. He scores the game winner, and everybody goes crazy. But I've said this in the past on here. I said it on Locked On NHL today, and I'll say it right here, right now. Artemi Panarin, thank God he was not selfless on that play. Thank God he chose to shoot the puck against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And there just has to be more of that. Artemi Panarin, he's just too good of a shooter, for me at least, to see him shoot as infrequently as he seemed to do at times in other seasons. This year, man, he gets a chance in a good scoring area on the rink. He's letting it fly, and a lot of times he's being rewarded for it. And to kind of break down these goals here, we've got the first Panarin goal. You got Filip Chytil. He's along the boards, passes to his right to Panarin. Panarin delayed for a second, brings it off the near post and in. Now, Panarin on this play shot from a pretty tough angle. And this is another example, another one of those goals where I just feel like if this had happened last year, very good chance Panarin is going to, kind of freelance with the puck or maybe try to make another pass to the other side of the net or, go around behind the net, do something just kind of random almost, for lack of a better term. But he got the shot here, and he even delayed a little bit to kind of, I think, measure his shot. And man, perfect shot, rings it off the near post into the net and scores for the Rangers. And like I've been saying, I think that maybe some of this comes down to coaching, where Laviolette, the Ranger coaching staff, they are telling him, we would like you to shoot the puck more. And to Panarin's credit, he seems to be listening. If that is indeed what's happening here, he's letting it fly and obviously gets rewarded with a goal here. He also scored a little bit later in this game, kind of a little bit of a follow the bouncing puck play here, but you've got K'Andre Miller. I alluded to this play a little bit earlier in today's episode. He's weaving through the neutral zone, straight up the center of the ice, over to Filip Chytil. Chytil tried to make a pass. I think he was looking for Panarin, but whoever he happened to be looking for, pass was deflected, puck bounces into the air, falls to the ice, right at the feet of Artemi Panarin, and he shoots at home and puts the Rangers up 4-1 early in the third period. That closed out the scoring in this game. Now, this one I feel like he probably would have shot in other years. The first one for sure he would have looked to pass. This goal, I think he would have shot it, though. It just fell at his feet, and there was nothing else to do. He was in prime scoring real estate and catch the goalie a little bit off guard, which I think he did, and he's rewarded once again with another goal, 4-1. So love the fact that Artemi Panarin is shooting the puck a little bit more often. It's been on display all season, certainly on display in Seattle against the Kraken. Something else that I want to mention here, we've seen the Rangers kind of alternate to start the season, Pitlick, VZ, but they finally bucked that trend in this game. They go with VZ for a second straight game, which I'm happy about. Is it the end of the world if Pitlick plays over VZ? I don't think so, but I do feel like VZ is the better all-around player. And new coaching staff or not, man, that's VZ's job. I feel like for Pitlick to take that away from VZ, he has to do what I just said. He has to take it away. He has to clearly show that he's the better option. VZ in this game had a solid hit on the forecheck against the boards. There's a puck battle in the corner. VZ was down on the ice, and he with one hand just kind of whacked the puck around the boards to the other side and kept the play alive. Kraken got to the puck first, but that's when Barclay Goodrow stepped in, put a big hit on his guys. So, a couple other decent plays from Jimmy VZ. He's a part of the penalty kill as well. And again, I don't think either Pitlick or VZ or anybody else should be in the press box for like 8 or 10 or 12 straight games. But my preference is VZ. And just kind of judging by social media, it feels like most Ranger fans are kind of in that camp as well, that the VZ is kind of be his job to lose at this point. All right, so to wrap up today, we got to talk about some of the fisticuffs in this game. The interesting thing about this is a pretty civil game, I would say, for, at least 2 periods, maybe even like getting toward 2.5 periods. But all of a sudden, you've got Vincent Trocheck in the third period, putting a hit on Brian Dumoulin, puts him into the boards behind the Kraken net. And on this play, I mean, look, sometimes it's easy to be kind of biased in favor of your team, whether that's a clean hit or a dirty hit. This is a clean hit. Trocheck got him from the side, didn't hit him from behind, put him in the boards, and Dumoulin hit a little bit awkwardly and fell to the ice. But honestly, you watch this, go back and watch this replay if you're not sure. Trocheck, I honestly feel like kind of let up a little bit here, gave Dumoulin a little bit of a break, didn't unload on him the way that he potentially could have. So that being the case, it was hard to figure out then why Trocheck skates by the Kraken bench and you've got Dumoulin reaching over the board with his stick and like hooking Trocheck and yelling at him. Just kind of strange. I didn't really understand the hostility there. It seemed like a clean hit. And again, a hit in which Trocheck did not unleash his full force, at least not as much as he possibly could have. So that's kind of what got the whole thing going. It kind of a fuse on a powder keg sort of a situation here. You then have Yanni Gourde, who, going back to his Tampa days, he tends to be out there looking for trouble. Clean hit on Filip Chytil in the neutral zone. And then Gourde goes after Vincent Trocheck. And there's not anything really all that wrong with that, I suppose, were it not for the fact that Vincent Trocheck was not even on the ice. He was on the Ranger bench, and Gourde's going after him and kind of taking a swipe at him. And when he did that, Adam Fox hit Gourde from behind, or he hit him kind of from the side. Then he hit him from behind. Then Kreider came in and just absolutely leveled Gourde from behind, because I didn't think he appreciated the fact that this guy's going after my teammate who's not even in the game. So you matching double minors for Gourde and Kreider. The two of them were kind of tussling and throwing some punches. I don't know if the gloves ever really came off, but it was more than just a simple 2-minute minor for the two of them for sure. Gourde also got a misconduct, I would assume, for basically trying to attack Trocheck when he wasn't even on the ice. Then a little bit later in this game, I mean, they just can't let this go. They just keep going after Trocheck. Trocheck then fights McCann after a faceoff. Trocheck is noticeably smaller than McCann, but he won this fight. He won this fight pretty much going away. McCann, I would say, probably landed the hardest punch of the fight. But in terms of quality, I mean, Trocheck was kind of working him over a little bit. And, I would say won this fight pretty clearly, pretty convincingly. When Trocheck got to the penalty box, Kreider was still in there. He kind of like patted him on the helmet, patted him on the back. You also had Wheeler, Miller, and Cooley. They all came over to say something to Trocheck, I think, just to back him up and, let them know they appreciate him and all that good stuff. But, this kind of got out of control out of nowhere. And just before this fight, there was a situation where Dumoulin was trying to go after Will Cooley a little bit, and that's when Trocheck stepped in. Not that Will Cooley needs anybody to fight his battles for him, but it was nice to see Trocheck kind of step in there, almost like, no, I'm the veteran. You come after me. He's doing his thing over here. You got a problem, you come to me about it. So, lot going on at the end of this game in terms of extracurriculars and fisticuffs. Kind of came out of nowhere, but good to see the Rangers, sticking up for each other out there. And one of those games, you get a couple instances like this at the end of a nice win, as this was for the Rangers, kind of like an identity building game a little bit, where we're going to be a hard-nosed team and we're not going to take any you-know-what from anybody. So I like the way this went down here. Good stuff all around. It's a very nice win for the Rangers. There were a lot of things to really like here. Like I mentioned, obviously all the former kid line playing very well in this game. You had Artemi Panarin going off. You have Jonathan Quick coming up big in his first start as a New York Rangers. So, like I said, good stuff all around. I also noticed here we got a couple of comments. We're doing a live show here in the live chat, so I'll go ahead and see what everybody was saying here. Noel V says, let's go, John. And the kid line needs some carbs. Yeah, a little bit. I feel like some of those guys still filling out a little bit. Lafreniere in particular. This is insert Breadman. We've also got a comment here from Gurpreet Sani, and I apologize if I did not pronounce that perfectly. I was at the game. They looked dead in the water till that first goal was scored against them. Got my money's worth. LFG Rangers. I'll let you guys figure out what those initials stand for. Let's go on a roll. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't really say they were dead in the first period, but that goal by the Kraken did seem to wake them up a little bit, did seem to get them to find that extra gear. In the first period, it felt like they were kind of just concentrating a little bit on defending and weren't really stepping on the gas. Didn't have like a ton of great scoring chances early, but I thought they played a pretty good first period overall, even once that goal was scored. And obviously they had a nice answer to it. Started playing very well toward the end of the first period. That's when they really, really stepped it up. And like I said, I thought they were excellent in the second period. I thought that was their best period of this game. But overall, a pretty complete 60 minutes for the Rangers. We've also got a comment from, is this better? No hair, no hesitation. He's been great. I can only assume you are talking about Artemi Panarin with the hair reference there. Panarin out there, he looks like he means business this season. He's really on a roll, really feeling good. And obviously, again, shooting the puck more often, which is something that I want to see. I think a lot of you guys want to see as well. And we got a late comment here from Dominic Kim. Rangers are 22-0-2 when all of the kids are on the score sheet. I did see that tweet floating around on social media last night, or it might have been even a little bit earlier today. But yeah, it's not that surprising to hear. They're kind of that catalyst. They're kind of that straw that stirs the drink, so to speak. And I mean, hey, when you have 3 different players all getting on the score sheet, that usually bodes well for your chances of winning the game. But I would not have known had it not been for that stat on social media last night that it was that good. That 22-0-2. What is that? Let's see, 46 out of a possible 48 points, if my math is correct there. So that's pretty wild. Obviously, the kid scoring tends to bode well for the Rangers. I feel like we could pretty much call it there. Thank you guys as always for tuning in and obviously supporting this live show. Richard Sama says, yep, I was one of the quick doubters. There were a few of them. And like I said, he's got to do more than just have one good game, I think, to silence all the doubters. But he played very well. So it's an encouraging sign for Jonathan Quick. We're going to call it there, though. Once again, thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. If you'd like to get in touch with this podcast, please send an email to lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Once again, that is lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Definitely give us a follow on Twitter as well, @LO_NY_Rangers. Once again, that's @LO_NY_Rangers. And definitely subscribe to Locked On New York Rangers YouTube channel. Thanks again, guys. I will see you next time.